What would you do if the stranger on your porch wasn't looking for a handout, but a way to make sure you never spoke again? The silence of a rural winter isn't peaceful. It's heavy. It's the kind of quiet that makes you hear the blood rushing through your ears, the kind that makes you hear your own heartbeat. I was 24, staying at my uncle's secluded property in the Cascade foothills to watch his dogs. The nearest neighbor was a quarter-mile of dense pine and waist-deep snow away. At 7 p.m., the power flickered and died. I wasn't worried. It was a common casualty of the wind. I lit a few candles, watched the shadows dance, while the dogs paced restlessly, their claws on the hardwood. Then came the sound. It wasn't the wind. It was a voice, thin, reedy, and chillingly rhythmic. Someone was outside, right against the front door, singing Silent Night. Not the whole song, just the first 4 lines, over and over, in a monotone drone that lacked even a hint of festive warmth. Sleep in heavenly peace. I approached the door and peered through the sidelight. A man stood there. He was wearing a high-visibility security jacket, 2 sizes too large, and thick black tactical gloves. He wasn't looking at the door. He was looking at his own feet, swaying slightly in the dark. "Can I help you?" I called out. The singing stopped instantly. He didn't look up. He just stood there, his breath blooming in the frozen air like a ghost. "I'm with the county utility. There's a downed line on the north edge of your property. I need you to sign a liability waiver before I can clear the brush." Something was wrong. Utility workers don't sing carols in the dark. They don't show up in unbranded gear without a truck in the driveway. I gripped the deadbolt. "Leave it on the porch," I said. "I'll sign it in the morning." Through the glass, "I need you to open the door, kid. It's a safety protocol. If I don't get the signature, I have to shut off the gas main for the whole block. You want to freeze?" It was a threat, plain and simple. I backed away, telling him I was calling his supervisor. I walked to the kitchen to grab my phone, but there was no signal, 0 bars. That's when I heard it. The first heavy from the back of the house. I ran to the mudroom. Through the laundry room window, I saw him. He wasn't at the gas main. He was standing in the snow, but he wasn't alone. Another man, shorter, holding a heavy iron pry bar, stood beside him. They weren't utility workers. They were professionals. The man in the jacket looked directly at me. No singing this time. He pulled a roll of heavy-duty duct tape from his pocket and held it up, a slow, predatory grin spreading across his face. "Nobody is coming, Nate." He knew my name. My stomach turned. This wasn't random. My uncle owed money, the kind of money that brought collectors who didn't care about witnesses. The shorter man smashed the pry bar into the doorframe. The wood shrieked as it splintered. I grabbed a kitchen knife and retreated to the basement stairs, locking the interior door. I heard the back door give way with a final, violent. Heavy boots hit the linoleum. They weren't rushing. They were moving furniture, blocking the exits from the outside. They weren't just breaking in. They were securing a Nate. "Come out. We just need to know where the floor safe is. If you tell us, we leave. If we have to find you, We're going to use that tape to make sure you stay quiet while we work." I stayed silent in the dark basement. Then, the splashing. The smell of gasoline hit me instantly, sharp and suffocating. They weren't going to search. They were going to burn it, with me inside. 10 seconds, Nate. In that moment, I recognized the voice. That utility worker. He was a former local, a man who knew exactly how long it took for help to arrive. He wasn't a stranger. He was a man with a badge and a debt. I didn't wait. I climbed through the narrow coal chute window, scraping my skin raw against the concrete. I tumbled into the snow just as the first orange glow lit up the kitchen windows. I ran into the tree line, watching from the shadows as the house roared into a furnace. They stood by their blacked-out SUV, watching the fire, like businessmen finishing a shift. I spent the night freezing in a hollowed-out log, watching the man who was supposed to protect this town wait for me to crawl out of the flames. He's still out there. He knows I saw his face. And now, every time the wind howls, or I hear the faint sound of a song, my blood turns to ice. Because the silence of winter isn't peaceful. It's a warning.
What would you do if a stranger didn't just follow you home, but convinced your parents he belonged there? The arena was a cathedral of noise, a jarring symphony of squeaking sneakers, the distant roar of the crowd, and 30,000 screaming fans. I was 7 years old, swallowed whole by the oversized jersey my father had bought me for my birthday. The lights were too bright, a blinding glare that made my eyes water. The air smelled of stale popcorn, sticky floor wax, and something else, a metallic tang I couldn't place. For the first time in my life, I felt the crushing, suffocating weight of a crowd. My father was preoccupied, arguing with a vendor over a missed order of nachos, his back turned to the churning sea of passing bodies. In that 3-second window of parental distraction, the world shifted. I took 2 steps toward a trash can to discard a candy wrapper, and when I turned back, the familiar sight of my father's plaid shirt had vanished, replaced by a moving wall of denim and wool. I was adrift, a tiny boat lost in a roaring ocean. "You look like a boy who's lost his team," a voice said. It wasn't harsh. It was smooth, practiced, and terrifyingly calm. I looked up. A man in a gray service jacket. He didn't look like a monster. He looked like an employee. He had a lanyard, though I was too young to notice it was blank, a void where an ID should be. "I'm with Stadium Security, buddy. Let's get you to the office so we can call your dad on the big speakers." He didn't wait for an answer. His hand closed around my wrist, not a squeeze, but a firm, anchoring grip that signaled the end of my agency, the end of my control. He didn't lead me toward the bright concourse, toward the exits. Instead, he navigated the slipstream of the crowd toward the service elevators. My stranger danger instincts were screaming inside my head, a silent, desperate wail, but his grip was a physical gag. Every time I tried to pull back, to twist my arm free, he'd lean in, his breath smelling faintly of coffee and something sour. "Don't make a scene, Leo. You don't want your dad to get in trouble with the police for leaving you, do you?"
That was the first hook. The threat of complicity. He wasn't just taking me, he was making me a partner in my own disappearance. We didn't go to an office. He took me into a concrete stairwell. The temperature dropped 10 degrees instantly, the chill seeping into my jersey. The roar of the game muffled into a low, rhythmic, like a dying heartbeat. He stopped on a landing, halfway between floors, and pinned me against the cold wall, his body blocking the exit. He didn't hit me. He did something worse. He took out a small, heavy, folding knife. The blade glinted in the dim light. He began cleaning his fingernails with the tip, his eyes never leaving mine. I've been watching your house for 3 weeks, Leo. Blue shutters, the loose floorboard on the porch. I know your mom works late on Tuesdays. The physical threat was a silent promise. He wasn't a ghost. He was a predator with a map. He reached out, his fingers brushing my chest, and clipped a small GPS-enabled tile onto the inside of my jersey's hem. If you tell them, Leo, I'll know, and I'll come through that window with the broken latch. He let go of my wrist, leaving a red ring of burst capillaries, a brutal reminder. Now, run back. If you're fast, they won't even know you were gone.
I ran until my lungs burned, the taste of metal in my mouth, until I found my father, still at the concession stand, arguing over the nachos. I said nothing. The ride home was a silent nightmare. Every pair of headlights in the rear-view mirror felt like a searchlight. I felt the weight of the plastic tile against my hip, a cold, physical link to a man who knew the layout of my sanctuary. 2 nights later, the doorbell rang. It was 9 p.m. My father opened it, and my heart stopped. Standing there in a clean button-down shirt, holding a stack of neighborhood watch flyers, was the man from the arena. He wasn't hiding. He had walked right up to the front door, into our lives. Evening, the man said. I'm Mark. I live 3 blocks over. We've had some reports of a prowler in the area, specifically targeting homes with young kids. Just wanted to give you my card and make sure you're locking down tight. I stood in the shadows of the hallway, paralyzed. My father, my protector, invited him in. I watched, hidden by the banister, as the man who had pinned me in a stairwell sat at our kitchen table, drinking water my mother had poured for him. He looked at me and winked, a quick, jagged motion. He was establishing a presence, gaslighting my entire reality. He stayed for 20 minutes discussing security upgrades and patrol schedules. When he finally left, I broke. I told my parents everything. The arena, the elevator, the knife, the tracker. I ripped the jersey out of the laundry and showed them the tile. My father's face went pale, but not with belief. It was fear of the unknown. He called the number on the flyer. It was a disconnected line. They drove to the address he gave. It was a vacant lot. The police came, but there was no physical evidence of a crime, no assault, no forced entry. He just gave you a flyer, sir, the officer said, looking at the plastic tile with dismissive eyes. This could be from a key finder. Without a recording of the threat, it's his word against a 7-year-old's imagination. The horror wasn't a jump scare. It was the realization that the law required a victim before it could provide a protector. The very next night, the physical reality of his threat manifested. I woke to the sound of metal on glass. He wasn't just standing there. He was using a glass cutter.
I saw his hand reach through a small hole he'd made, his fingers searching for the lock. I didn't scream this time. I grabbed the heavy glass trophy from my nightstand and slammed it down on his protruding hand with every ounce of my terror-fueled strength. There was a sickening of bone, the sound of a real human injury. A muffled "ooh" erupted from the other side of the pane. By the time my father burst in, the window was shattered. The man was gone, leaving behind a trail of dark, arterial spray on the white siding of our house and a severed tip of a latex glove. He was never caught. The police found the blood, but no DNA match in the system. 10 years have passed. I still live in that house. I have replaced the windows with reinforced plexiglass. I have cameras at every angle. But every time the doorbell rings or a neighbor stops by, I feel that cold, anchoring grip on my wrist. He didn't just try to take me that night. He took my ability to ever feel safe in the presence of a helpful stranger. The most dangerous monsters don't hide under the bed. They sit at your kitchen table and drink your water while your parents thank them for their service.